How long can lines get at Walt Disney World, and which rides have the longest lines? Today we're diving into that question and more. In today's video I'm going over the attractions with the longest lines typically, and I do want to mention right off the bat, I am going to be mentioning some times, maybe 2-hour wait, 3-hour wait, whatever it is, but when I mention these times you should know that it will vary quite a bit. Some of the slow season it will not be that long, Christmas Day it will be much longer, just to give you an idea of how long these lines can get. Let's dive in. Let's start with the Magic Kingdom first and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. The Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is an extremely popular attraction, although it doesn't have the same thrills as Space Mountain or Splash Mountain or Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. The animatronics inside the mine and those shifting back and forth in the mine cars make it a lot of fun for the entire family. Since it came to the Magic Kingdom, it has been extremely popular, and the lines have been dying down a little bit over the years, but you can still find lines upwards of 2 hours, sometimes even 3 during the holidays. Next on our list is Space Mountain. Although Space Mountain has been around at the Magic Kingdom since almost the beginning, it is still one of the most popular attractions there, upwards of 2 hours on some days, and when you have the holiday overlay, the line can get a lot longer as well. Next up, we've got a classic attraction, one that's been open since just about the beginning, still one of the longest lines at the Magic Kingdom, hard to imagine, Peter Pan's Flight. It always surprises me when I walk past Peter Pan's Flight and I look at that sign and it says an hour and a half, or maybe even 2 hours on some days during the summer or the holidays. It's just shocking. It's shocking to me. I love the attraction. It's great, but 2 hours in that line, that's a long time. Next up, we've got Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and although it doesn't have as long of a line usually as Space Mountain or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, you can find upwards of an hour and a half line right there, Big Thunder Mountain, even during the summertime, sometimes even longer. Right next to it is Splash Mountain, and it is a longer line at the Magic Kingdom as well, an hour and a half easily on some days, and it is popular throughout the year. Probably less popular when it gets a little bit colder, but it still has a line. Last one in the Magic Kingdom for today is the Jungle Cruise. The Jungle Cruise is always popular with those who are new to the Magic Kingdom or those Disney veterans who are coming back. It's a ton of fun for the entire family. I love the skipper and the jokes that they tell. It turns into the Jingle Cruise during the holidays. It is equally popular then, upwards of an hour and a half, possibly even 2 hours sometimes. Usually more like an hour, hour and a half. Now let's move on to Epcot, and we've got Frozen Ever After. When Frozen Ever After first opened at Epcot, it had lines upwards of 3 hours. It was unbelievable to see those lines. It's still extremely popular today, and during the summer and the holidays, it can get up to 2 hours, sometimes a little bit more. Definitely a fun one though. Next up, we have an extremely long line for Food Rocks. Just kidding, just kidding. Soarin' sits at the location where Food Rocks used to be, and it's an extremely popular attraction. They added another theater. That's how popular it was, and you now have lines upwards of about an hour, maybe an hour and 45 minutes, depending on the day. Next up, we have Test Track, another popular attraction at Epcot. It usually runs about an hour wait time, sometimes an hour and a half, depending on the time of year, and a lot of fun. It goes really fast. Now let's move on to Hollywood Studios. When I was first thinking about this video, of course, I was considering Rise of the Resistance, easily the most popular attraction at Walt Disney World at the time of filming, but I don't know if it really applies to this video simply because there is no standby line. It's all boarding pass, but if it did apply to this video, it would have an 8-hour wait every single day because all the boarding passes sell out. It goes to show the power of the boarding pass, because if we didn't have the boarding pass method, I doubt that guests would be willing to stand in an 8-hour or longer line, so it makes sense to have it. That being said, if we didn't have the boarding pass, possibly maybe 3-hour wait, 4-hour wait, it's tough to know. Next up at Hollywood Studios is Rock and Roller Coaster. It's my favorite upside down roller coaster and the only one at Walt Disney World. Sometimes you can get waits upwards of 2 hours, but in recent years that's actually been coming down just a little bit, which I think has been really nice. It also has a single rider line as well, which can be very helpful. Right next to it is the Tower of Terror, and it usually has a wait upwards of an hour and a half, possibly 2 hours. Holidays are even more popular, and during the holidays it also gets those projections, which are fantastic to see. Another recent addition to Hollywood Studios, Slinky Dog Dash, is another popular one. It has lines upwards of 2 hours, 2.5 hours, sometimes an hour, hour and a half. It really depends on the day. This one fluctuates it's quite a bit. Right across the way, Toy Story Midway Mania was so popular that Disney had to build another show building right next to it, just because so many guests love it so much. And it's easy to see why. The wait is still somewhere between 45 minutes, an hour and a half, even with 2 show buildings, but it's worth it, absolutely. The last attraction for Hollywood Studios, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, was only open for a little while before Disney had to close due to the global situation, but it's a magical attraction and was getting a really big crowd. By the time Disney had to close, it was somewhere between an hour, hour and a half, somewhere in there. It's a really fast-moving line. Now we come to Animal Kingdom, and the most popular attraction by far in the entire park is Flight of Passage in Pandora World of Avatar. Flight of Passage has been open for years, but it still gets an unbelievable line because so many guests love it so much, between 2 hours, sometimes 2.5 hours. That's usually about where it is. Sometimes it can reach 3 hours during peak season, but believe it or not, when it first opened, it had a recorded wait time of 319 minutes, 5.5 hours, or a little bit more than 5.5 hours if you count it all up. That is an unbelievable amount of time to be waiting for a ride, but I can tell you, it's amazing. It really is. Right next to it, Navi River Journey is a slower moving boat ride, but still amazing, especially if you have something that is bioluminescent on you that kind of glows with the black lights. Super cool. Usually around an hour and a half, somewhere in there, depending on the day. Last but not least, we've got Expedition Everest, which is an older attraction at Animal Kingdom, but still boasts lines upwards of an hour, sometimes even an hour and a half. It does have a single rider line, which can make things a lot faster, but this is one that I love. All of these attractions are amazing, but these are the ones that usually have the longest lines at Walt Disney World. Don't forget, these wait times can vary tremendously. Slower season, much less crowded. Christmas season, definitely going to be longer than these times. Of these attractions at Walt Disney World, which one is your favorite? For me personally, it's Rise of the Resistance with Flight of Passage right behind it. It's so close. Thank you so much for being a part of the magic with me today. Until next time, have a magical day.